the reality that we can't just say that this shouldn't happen again and then allow it.
I want to go over through this whole press conference as Governor Walz.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Certainly a day and a news conference that no one wants to be at. A community behind us, Annunciation Church and School, committed to academics, service, and Catholic values, filled with the first days of school of beautiful children going to learn those values, share with their teachers and their classmates. And instead of that joy and that curiosity and that learning, they were met with evil and horror and death. And we often come to these and say, these unspeakable tragedies, or there's no words for this. There shouldn't be words for these types of incidents because they should not happen. And there's no words that are going to ease the pain of the families today. On behalf of all the people of Minnesota, our deepest sympathies. A wish that any of these words would make what you're feeling now better, but it won't. A place that's founded on community, founded on service, founded on family. I'd like to give special thank you to the mayor and the team in Minneapolis, the Minneapolis Police Department, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, Minnesota State Patrol, the BCA, so many agencies, our federal partners in the FBI, the first responders, and the heroic work that's happening now as we speak at multiple medical locations, including Hennepin County Medical Center, where most of our children were transported to receive the life-saving care. The thoughts and prayers and the hopes and the support that we need to give them in this moment too is critical. Speaking with all the people here and grateful to our federal partners, Senator Klobuchar speaking early this morning and receiving a call from President Trump, who was with his leadership team of the Attorney General and the Vice President, expressing their deep condolences amongst the horror that happened and an offer to provide the support to the folks here in Minnesota of what's needed. So there's a lot of cameras here, and unfortunately, we've been through these types of things. They will be gone at some point. All of you, you have to do your jobs. But what happened here today will not be gone. Minnesotans will not step away. We'll stand with this community. We'll redouble ourselves to do the best we can to understand what we can do to prevent any parent from having to receive the calls they received today, from any school dedicated to children having to respond to a situation that, as we said, is unthinkable, but that's all too common, not just in Minnesota, but across this country. It's Minnesota's day to day, and it's my strongest desire that no state, no community, no school ever experiences a day like this. So I ask the rest of the folks around the country who are watching, keep us in your thoughts and prayers, but also keep us in the thoughts for action together. And it's on these days like this, I think, and I hope we can hold on to it. We are unified as a community. Everybody across the country today is part of the Annunciation Parish, and they're with those families.
Tim Walz, he didn't say anything out of pocket, so I can't necessarily hold him accountable. Of course, I know that people still don't necessarily rock with Tim Walz based off of the past presidential election and stuff like that. But Tim Walz, I mean, this is natural, right? You get a shooting, and depending on whoever state it's in or whatever, you usually get whatever it is, the leader of the state, to come in and say some words in order to try to comfort the community or whatever. So this is standard fare. This is not anything that's out of the ordinary. I know that we also had the police chief. We went over the police chief. I want to go over the mayor. And let me tell you why I think that the mayor's speech is a lot more important. And I want to see exactly what he said, and I want to see it in its full context. The reason that I want to go over the mayor's speech is because when I start doing a little bit of digging, right? Because obviously, what's up, Shadow Dragon TV? I appreciate you. I'll look at that, and I'm gonna read that super chat shortly. When I start going over the mayor of Minneapolis, right? I start digging because I was trying to understand, and I'm gonna play what he said about the trans people and everything like that. I start digging and I realize, oh, okay, so it's something else going here. The mayor of Minneapolis is actually up for re-election. So in the midst of this shooting happening right now, there's also a re-election effort and a re-election campaign that is happening in Minneapolis. And the person that he's running against is actually a Somalian. So you know that I've been talking about Somalians and talking about how Somalians have basically taken over Minneapolis and all of that. And so this is, we also want to factor this in, right? Because we're not just taking what he says at face value. We also take politicians, you know, obviously to be liars and stuff like that a lot of times. But we also have to take into consideration the fact that he's also up for re-election, and he's in the middle of a re-election campaign in which they're trying to unseat him. And you're right, Rafi or Raphael. They do have a large gay community over in Minneapolis. And so all of that is a factor in what's happening here. Let me try to get the full brunt of his speech.
Thank you, Governor. Throughout the morning, we have seen this extraordinary Minneapolis family step up in thousands of different ways. People with strength, resilience, compassion, and love for the families that have been forever impacted by this heinous act. We want to make sure that we're doing everything possible for them right now, and I want to give a special thank you, and we are so grateful to all of the faculty and the teachers at Annunciation. The way that they acted during severe threat and danger was nothing short of heroic. This is a tragic and horrible event that should never occur. And it would have been all the more tragic and horrible had they not stepped in, at times perhaps put themselves in danger to protect others. As horrible as this has been, it could have been far worse. I'm grateful for our law enforcement partners, our police officers in the Minneapolis Police Department and other law enforcement agencies well beyond that step up, that answered the call to make sure that they were running towards danger when so many of the rest of us would have run in the other direction. Thank you. We are so appreciative of your service. To Principal DeBoer and your whole team, the ethic that you have shown, it's flat out incredible. And at the same time, it can't just be words. There needs to be action. And when we have seen school shooting after school shooting, when we have seen churches get shot up by horrible actors, I think the impetus has to be on all of us as leaders to do a whole lot more, to recognize that we've got more guns in this country than we have people.
And this is the thing that people are starting to get a little bit scared of, because, you know, when they start talking about leadership, when they start talking about, you know, what we should do and all of this stuff, you know where this is leading, right? This is leading into the gun debate. This is leading into a ban on guns and all of this stuff. And this ain't got nothing to do with that. This don't have nothing. You know what this has to do with? This has something to do with mental disorders. This has something to do with the fact that they like to declassify people that want to change their genders because they're trying to be politically correct, and they don't really want to address the elephant in the room. And instead, they try to go after the low-hanging fruit that has nothing to do with what it is that they're talking about. Nobody's guns need to be taken, because everybody that goes and personally buys a gun, most people are responsible gun owners. We need to deal with the mental disorder that comes from people when you identify somebody that want to change their name from Robert into Robin. But we gonna get there in a second. I haven't seen this whole speech. I'm literally listening to it in real time.
And it's on all of us to recognize the truth and the reality that we can't just say that this shouldn't happen again and then allow it to happen again and again beyond that. It's on all of us. And I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community. Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone.
But it's okay for somebody that is operating out of a place of hate for children, though, right? Yo, this political correctness, this junk has gotten so out of hand to where people feel like it's okay for them to defend. Man, listen, when crime is committed in communities, and it doesn't even matter if it's just a white regular white guy, or a black guy, or a black woman, or a black man, bro, I'm telling you, and I said this before, I'm gonna say it again. The most hated person or people in this country at this point are white heterosexual males, and then it comes down off of that, right? The hierarchy comes down off of that. So let me break it down. It's white heterosexual males, right, that operate in their masculinity that's not liberal. That's at the top of the totem pole of what people feel like needs to be corrected. After that, it's all men, right? It's white men, all men. You can disagree if you want to, twisted logic. It's white men, then it's men, right? So then it's men that it then becomes a target, right? Then it's liberal, then it's conservative. All right, let me revise this. Because I forgot one. White men at the top, white heterosexual men, then it's heterosexual men. Okay? Conservative men, right under that, heterosexual men, conservative men, right? Then you have all men, liberal men, all of that is right there. Then you have conservative white women, okay? Heterosexual conservative white women that are not liberal. Then it goes down after that. The most protected group at the bottom is one that throws everything in the bucket. Person that's liberal, changing their gender over to being a woman, bull nose ring, all of that stuff, bro. I'm telling you, man, the weirder you are, the more people try to overcorrect and protect you. They never even listed the person's. I had to go and get a write-out, a newspaper write-out to find out what the identity of the person that was the shooter was. And the only reason we was able to deduce the fact that it was a trans person was because they had to identify the fact that the person's name was Robin, but their original name was Robert. That's the only way we knew who the identity of the person was initially. It took them 2-3 days to eventually drop a picture. Then we found out that the mother at some point worked at the place, at the school, even though she wasn't necessarily a part of the church. Then we found out that the mother was the one that filed for the name change for the person, Robert, that then identified as Robin. And so the mother was also complicit, in my opinion, for creating this environment for this person to be delusional. But we don't know the mother's name. We don't know. We just found out the shooter's name. And he jumps on here pandering to people talking about, yo, we need to make sure that we're not. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Immediately, anytime that you see something that a black person do, myself included, I hold the culture accountable. And we say, oh man, black fatigue is real. Then it was white fatigue is real. We address the cultural norms of whatever group. On an individual level, yes, individual people have the right to be able to pursue happiness. But from a cultural perspective, if you're going to sit here and act like that this is okay, and we don't need to demonize, just brush it to the side. Man, how many different shooters all carry the same identity? They carry the same mindset, identity. Weird, bro. Weird, 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 weird. Honestly, the weirder you are, the more likely you are to be one of the people that's sitting. Because ain't no normal person doing no shit like this. You don't see no regular hetero. How many regular heterosexual grown men that is of adult age goes in to shoot up a school or to shoot up a church? That's not happening. That's not happening. You don't see grown heterosexual men, because it ain't the women, it ain't no conservative women. You don't see grown heterosexual men going in to shoot up these places. So when you start to take that into consideration, it's like, how can you not add that into the conversation? Because that's exactly what the FBI do. It's called profiling. It's called profiling. But immediately, within 2 minutes of him starting his little speech, the first thing that they whisper in his ear probably before he came up there is, hey, make sure that you address the people that is trying to bully the trans community. What the fuck is you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? He didn't even have to mention this at all. Think about this for a second. He never had to mention this at all. He never had to say anything. It never had to be a thing. But he decided to throw himself in this because he had to make sure that he acknowledged the community, because somebody is in this boy's ear telling them that you better play along and you still got to win the election. And for the people in Minneapolis that's going for this shit, it's amazing, bro. It's amazing. It's crazy. Well, let's continue to get into what he got to say.
We should be operating from a place of love for our kids. Kids died today. This needs to be about them. This needs to be wrapping our arms around these families with every bit of love that we can possibly show. And I know that our Minneapolis family and well beyond is prepared to do exactly that. And so my message to everyone out there is, again, these families are experiencing some acute pain right now. But don't just think of these as somebody else's kids. Think of your own. Let's make sure that we're acting now to not just say it's never happening again, but ensure it doesn't. Our chief of police, who's been working tirelessly throughout the day, along with, again, a number of different law enforcement.
What did I tell y'all? We'll get there. I'm going to get into that in a second.